Is anger always bad? Is anger always bad? Here's a devotional thought for those of you that have a short temper. Today we're going to talk about anger. And the question is this: is anger always bad? This is the Mighty Oaks Daily Devotional. My name is Jeremy Stalnecker, and I think many of us understand what it is to have a short fuse, to get angry quickly, to fly off the handle. We've all been there, and some more than others. But the question we have to ask is, if anger is always bad, then why do we have this emotion given to us by God? God gave us our emotions. We have an interesting verse in front of us today. The book of Ephesians, chapter 4, and verse 26 says this: "Be angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath." Verse 27 says, "Neither give place to the devil." What an interesting verse. Be angry, but don't sin. And whatever you do, don't let the sun go down. Don't let the day end on your wrath while you're still angry. This is interesting. We could look at the example of Jesus as he walked this earth. We go to the Gospels and we find occasions where Jesus was legitimately angry. Most notably, and the one we're most familiar with, Jesus was near the temple, and there were people buying and selling. They had turned the temple, this place of worship, into a place of commerce. Exchanging of money was happening, buying was happening. So many things were happening in an area that should have been preserved for religious worship. Jesus saw this. The Bible tells us that he formed a whip. He made it. So this was not an overreaction or a quick emotional outburst. He took the time, having observed what happened, to then make a whip. And he went into the area where the money changers and the sellers had assembled, and he drove them out. Now, I don't know what all that means exactly, but he drove them out. It's the idea of him throwing tables over and using that whip to clean out the area, to get the sellers out of that area. He was angry. But we also know of Jesus that he is God, and therefore, whatever he did was done without sin. What we saw exhibited in that moment as we read that story in the life of Jesus is what we might call holy or righteous indignation. It's an anger, and I think there's an emotional aspect to it as well, an anger at that which is unjust or unrighteous. It's the same anger we may feel when we hear about a child being abused or something else happening to an innocent person. There is something that wells up in most of us, an anger. That is a righteous anger. It's indignation at that which is unjust or wrong. That's different than flying off the handle or having an emotional outburst because someone says or does something to us that we don't like. When the Bible says here, "Be angry and sin not," what it's really instructing us to do is have those moments of righteous indignation. That is, to stand up against what is wrong, but in the process not to fall down into or devolve down into pride. This place of sinning. This place of responding because I've been hurt or someone's done something that I don't like. What's really interesting is, to me, the next verse that says, "Don't give place, neither give place to the devil." What does that mean? When we allow ourselves to fly off the handle, when we allow anger to have its way with us, we're no longer driving that situation, but it's driving us. You know what we've done? We've given what the Bible would call place to the devil. We've given the devil an opportunity to cause us to do something that we will later regret. In the heat of anger, have you ever said or done anything that you would later regret? Of course, we all have. That's the difference between a righteous indignation, one that sees something that's wrong, thinks about it, processes it, and then decides what to do about it, and someone who simply allows their emotions to run away with them. Anger is not always wrong, just as the other emotions that we have are neither always right or always wrong. The real question is, what is it that we're angry about? You know, if we would spend more time being angry about the sin and the brokenness and the hurt in our world, and then deciding how we can stand up against injustice, I believe the petty anger, those times when we allow our emotions to drag us away, those would diminish because we'd be so focused on standing against what is wrong and for what is right. An interesting thought on anger today. I hope that you will take this with you. If you're prone to anger, get control of that. But if you're someone that would say, well, there's never a reason to be angry, there certainly are things in our world that are worth being angry about. But if you're going to be angry, the Bible says, and sin not. There's no benefit to your wrath. In fact, it will open up the door for Satan to get a hold of something that you're really giving him. Be angry, but sin not. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow for another Mighty Oaks Daily Devotional. For more information about the Mighty Oaks Foundation and the work that we do for veterans, active duty service members, and first responders, please visit mightyoaksprograms.org.